Welcome back, everyone. There's one major problem that I think about every time I get behind the wheel of my new Jeep, and that is getting a crack or a chip in my windshield. Many Jeepers consider a rite of passage, where you buy a brand new Jeep and then within a short while, your pride and joy has been scarred for life with a crack from a rock that's been picked up by a passing big rig. Let me show you something real quick. For most folks, their brand new Jeep will never be the same again because there's this tiny Willys logo Easter egg on the OEM windshield. And a replacement costs around $700. However, that replacement windshield is most likely from an off-brand manufacturer and will no longer include that Willys Jeep icon. Fortunately, my windshield has not yet sustained any chips or cracks. And to attempt to prolong its useful life, I'm gonna install what is essentially a giant screen protector on it. And inside this box is almost everything you need to complete the job except paper towels. Mind Machine sent me this windshield defense kit by Racing Optics. And inside the kit, it includes a 3-layer window protector, cleaning and installation solution, as well as a squeegee. They asked me to install the system and test it over the next 18 months. And in fact, they didn't even want me to make a video about it. They just wanted me to test it and see how it goes. But I wanted to make a video that I could have to reference back to during this long-term test. The reason that I say this is an 18-month test is that each of those layers is designed to be good for about 6 months. And over the life of the windshield protector, every 6 months, I'll peel off one of those layers. Of course, if the system sustains any damage, I may have to peel off one of those layers sooner. Before I install the windshield defense system, I want you to know that I'm most skeptical about the potential for clarity issues when it comes to having a screen protector. Some of those issues could be a result of an improper install if I don't clean the windshield good enough, or maybe there's just a haze on the windshield from the system. But the only way I'm gonna find out is if I make every effort to protect my windshield. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this install started. So I found an old roll of paper towels. That should be everything I need to clean the windshield. And I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing opened up. I don't wanna cut the screen protector, so I gotta be a little careful with my knife here. There's the screen protector. And in case you're curious, the windshield defense system is made in the USA. Let me go ahead and get this bottle set up. All right, we're all set. So before I begin, I'm gonna go ahead and move the 2 windshield wipers out of the way. And I wanna just saturate the windshield in that cleaning solution. And then I'm gonna give this windshield a good scrub. My biggest concern with the install process is allowing any debris to get behind the windshield defense layer. It's just something I don't want to have to deal with because I'm not going to pull this thing off once it goes on. And if there is any debris, it's just going to have to stay there for the life of the windshield defense system. So I'm not just spraying off the windshield. I'm going to go ahead and spray the front of the hood as well, just to get it lubed up a little bit. As I go for this install, I'm going to want to make sure that everything is just nice and wet, nice and clean. There's just nothing on this windshield. And there's plenty of solution inside of this kit. So with this first batch of solution, I'm just gonna go ahead and scrub this windshield as good as I can, getting it nice and clean. Then I'm gonna squeegee it off, and then I'm gonna reapply some more solution. That way this thing is definitely clean. Because like I said, I don't want there to be anything behind this windshield. For me, the driver's side is more important because I need to have that optical clarity behind the driver's side window. But ideally, I have this entire window cleaned off as nice as I can get it. I'm taking a little longer than I expected to clean this windshield. Some of the stuff that's on here is essentially baked in for the last month or so. If you're not comfortable installing something like this yourself, feel free to take it to a window tint shop. Shouldn't cost you more than about 50 bucks to get this thing installed. And I have seen some coupons for installation where Racing Optics or Windshield Defense will send you a $25 rebate if you do have a professional installation completed. So now I'm gonna spray this off one more time. Then I'm gonna use this squeegee just to try to get anything else or at least see any imperfections in my cleaning job. I'm going to use the hood as my surface to lay out the windshield defense system as I install it. The main reason I have this moving blanket on is I don't want to scratch up the front of the display, because why risk it? Why scratch it up when I can take care of it and make sure that it's as clear as possible after installation? Hopefully I don't introduce any additional dust or debris as I'm getting it ready. As I slowly peel off this little liner right here, I'm going to use some of that solution and spray it down, and then I'm going to spray down the windshield as good as I can. And this is going to be the point where you're going to want to have an assistant help you. I want to make sure I apply as much of this solution as possible. As I go through with the squeegee and clean it out, I'm going to smash as much of that out as possible. Let's lift it up from the corner, and we're going to lift it over the windshield wipers, okay? And then just gently place it down with about 1/4 inch on the edge, okay? I've got it on what I feel like is a good spot. Now I'm just going to go around and work as much of that solution out as I can. Since this thing is already on, if there are any imperfections behind it, I'm just going to basically have to deal with them. And that would be the reason that you would definitely want to use a professional installer. So I've got that side pretty good. Now I'm just going to go to this side, try to squeeze as much of that out as I can. Same process. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the first few days after this is on, it's gonna continue to dry out. So you wanna avoid using your windshield wipers as much as possible for the first few days, as well as actually keeping this away from direct sunlight for a few hours. So I'm just continuing to work this. You really can't tell in the video, but there are a few kind of water bubbles under there, or solution bubbles, that I do see. Trying to get as much of that out as possible. So this system is a one and done system, meaning that once you install it, you're not going to be able to reposition it. And as I'm looking at my install, hey, I'm out here in my yard trying to do the right thing. I can see a few spots where maybe some dust particles or something is stuck under that surface. So I highly encourage you to do this. Add an installer if you can. So I'm on the inside of the Jeep. I've just got this thing installed. It's still a little dirty because I'm not going to clean it off properly, at least until tomorrow, because I want it to have a chance to settle and dry out. The longer I give it to settle and dry out before I start messing with it, the less likely I am to experience a shift of that material. Once that material shifts now, it's pretty much done, so I have to let it rest. But the first thing that I'm noticing is there is a slight additional tint from the regular OEM windshield. This is definitely the trade-off for having that pristine glass windshield. Any additional layer, such as tint, or in this case just a windshield protector, is going to reduce a little bit of that optical clarity. But for me, I'm going to deal with it. It's going to protect my windshield. I've completed the install. I'm going to give this a couple of days and we'll check in and see how it looks after it's had plenty of time to dry. All right, guys, it's been over a week since I did this install and the results are in. And personally, I'm a little disappointed in my installation skills. And what I mean by that is around the edges, if you look along the rim of the glass here, you can see a couple of spots where it's kind of separating a little bit. I feel like that's more of an issue with my installation skills. I have tried to tint windows in the past and I am just not a qualified tint installer. In addition to that, the window is pretty dirty right now. I didn't account for how many bugs and things like that I hit in my normal travels. And so this thing is pretty dirty. But what I can tell you is it's very clear. So my initial impressions when I first installed it were that it had a little bit of a haze, but after about that third day, that haze was completely gone. I attribute that to the moisture kind of boiling out of the window as it's exposed to sunlight over the few days. But I do have, and I don't know if the camera will pick it up, a couple of small bubbles. And so in this bubble in particular, there is something under that surface that I missed as I was installing the screen. I would say the lesson for me is I should have paid an installer to do it. 50 bucks or so should be about the right cost to get something like this installed. So I think overall, the windshield defense by Racing Optics does exactly what it says it will do. It provides you that low-level rock or small projectile protection on your windshield. And I also feel like the company gets ahead of the install issue by providing at least that option for a $25 rebate if you pay a professional installer to do the job. I'm glad that I installed it on my vehicle. I am gonna keep it for its long-term test, and I'm gonna try to make that first layer last as long as possible before I have to peel it off. But ultimately, what you really have to decide is, for the cost of the protector, maybe versus the cost of a windshield or the cost of a deductible for your insurance, ultimately, is it worth the cost? Now, if you really love off-roading or just exploring in general in your Jeep, check out this video right here where I do some extreme trail challenges in my brand new Jeep Gladiator, and I'll see you guys over there.